And welcome back to EDH Deck Building. I am your host, Demo, and why do we ban cards in Commander? This is another one of those sort of response videos, when I post a video that can be a tad controversial, get a lot of comments, and then I see a lot of things that people are saying, and I'm like, I don't know about all that, and I can't respond to everybody, so I like to actually make a video sort of clarifying things. Obviously, Golos has been banned recently, and I made a video about it, like probably every Commander content creator made a video about it. Apparently, I was one of the few that actually was okay with the banning. Everyone else didn't like it. I mean, there was 7,600 decks on EDH Rec approximately when Golos got banned, so that probably means there's at least 7,600 people that are not a big fan of the decision. So the question being, well, why ban cards at all then? Right? A lot of the people that are not okay with this decision, I had one guy comment on my video, why ban the card when you can just in your play group say, don't play that commander? Well, I mean, that's an interesting comment. Most people don't have play groups, right? So that solution isn't actually a solution, right? Just because something works good in your play group doesn't mean it works for everybody. And more to the point, in your play group, you can continue to play Golos, right? Like a lot of people said in the comments as well, I'm just going to keep playing my Golos deck because my play group is okay with it. And that's great. And I advocate for playing commanders that aren't even legal legendary creatures as your commander. People can always do as they like, and if you have a play group, Rule Zero is always going to solve those problems, and it really is fantastic for those people, especially when you have a play group that is like-minded, right? The bannings are for the rest of us, right? The bannings are for the people that don't have a play group. Anyone that has a play group should not be upset about the Golos banning, because you can just talk to your play group and continue playing it. Bannings are for the people that don't. By the way, I just want to point out, for the 20 or 30 people that commented on that video about what am I going to do with my Maze's End deck, I literally said in my Commanders You Don't See Anymore video that Child of Alara was the go-to Maze's End commander, right? This is why commanders don't get played anymore, because Child of Alara was the go-to for a Maze's End deck. That's right, people actually played Maze's End before Golos came along. Golos made that deck a lot easier because you could just go fetch your Maze's End with him, just like he made a lot of decks a lot easier, which is why he got banned. So Child of Alara, that's my suggestion for that. But of course, just like I said in that video, when Golos came out, he was just a better option. He was a better option for a lot of people, right? He was a better option even in that mono black deck, just so you could go get your Cabal coffers. That's why he's such a ridiculous card, right? But again, if you have your own play group, then this is not an issue. Any of the banned cards on the ban list, if it's okay in your play group, then you can do this. Okay, I had another guy comment that, the 7,600 people that had Golos decks, the rules committee just gave them a middle finger. And I'm like, maybe that's the case, but guess what? There's a lot more than 7,600 people playing Commander. A lot more. And the rules committee is doing what's best for the health of the format overall. Had another guy comment that, are we just going to start banning cards because they're popular now? Cards actually do get banned because they're insanely popular. In other formats, that happens all the time. If you go into the history of bannings in the game, it used to be that cards were banned because they were broken, right? The actual meaning of the word broken came from a card where it's like, oops, we probably shouldn't have printed that, right? Like Time Walk, oops, 2 mana to take an extra turn. That's broken. Black Lotus is broken. That's way, way too good. It was the early days of the game, so they did, Richard Garfield was sort of figuring things out, getting the feel for it. So he would say, oops, I made a card that's just way too good, so now we have to ban it. Or it was, we printed a card where it combos with something else and we missed it, right? Like Channel Fireball, that was the first sort of combo, instant win combo ever in Magic. And of course, in retrospect, you look at a card like Channel and you're like, what a ridiculous card, of course. It not only would just end the game with Fireball, now there's probably 100 ways you could just win the game with Channel. That's why Channel's banned in everything. And why was it banned? Because everyone started doing it. Just like with the Mirrodin, Affinity debacle, the reason why those cards got banned, Skull Clamp, for example, got banned. I think the Artifact lands as well. In Standard, I'm talking about back when Mirrodin was in Standard, those cards got banned because everyone was doing it. When something is really, really powerful, then everybody jumps on the bandwagon and everyone is doing it. That's why Golos was the most popular commander in the format by far. Not because he enabled you to play a Maze's End deck, but because he was incredibly powerful and busted. So back in Mirrodin Standard, when everybody was playing the Affinity deck, and you can ask anyone who's playing Magic back then, it almost ruined the game. Like people were quitting en masse because everyone was playing the Arcbound Ravager, Skull Clamp, Disciple of the Vault deck, and you'd show up for a tournament and it would be 90% that deck. You know, is that good for the game, right? So they had to ban those cards. Yeah, they were also really busted. Skull Clamp is a busted card. Artifact lands, I don't think are busted in that standard they were. Disciple of the Vault certainly is not a busted card, right? They had to ban those cards because they were popular, because they had to break up that deck so that people would do other things, right? Diversity. This is exactly what they said in their release. They want to promote diversity, and that's what Wizards of the Coast was doing by breaking up the affinity deck. They were forcing people to go in other directions by banning those cards. The same thing goes for cards like Preordain or Ponder in Modern. Are those busted cards? I certainly don't think so. They're very low impact. I see people play those cards in Commander and I don't get it. I'm like, hey, they're okay, I guess. They're definitely not broken, not by any stretch of the imagination. They're banned in Modern though, because everybody was using them. They were going in every deck. Wizards of the Coast doesn't ban cards for combo potential anymore, right? If that was the case, Kiki Jiki should have been banned forever ago because it combos with everything. Infinite combos have become commonplace in Magic, so they basically just said, all right, we're just going to let that one go, and it's just part of the game now. Now they ban cards, I mean, yes, for power level, but also for it's ubiquitous. If everyone is doing it, they don't want that. It's bad for the game if everyone is doing the same thing. Bringing that into Commander, the same can be said for Golos, right? To me, I look at Golos and I think it's the affinity deck, right? It's that Arcbound Ravager affinity deck, same scenario where we don't want everyone playing the same deck. And this is even more the case in Commander, I think. You know, we really don't want this format becoming that format where everyone plays the same deck. When Golos first came out, every single game I showed up to had a Golos deck. It was exhausting. You know, Gishath, Muldrotha, there was these commanders that every single game I had to play against. Is that a good thing? I don't think it is. We want diversity in this format. It's not fun when everyone's playing the same decks. I mean, just think about it this way. Modern, where I left Modern to come to Commander, right? I played Modern for years. Modern was the most popular format in the game for a long time, you know, up until a couple of years ago. Now it's Commander. Why do you suppose that is? Why do you suppose people are flooding from Modern and other formats to Commander? I think the diversity of the format is part of the reason. You know, I would play Modern, and if you watch content creators online playing games in Modern, their opponent would play a land, like a Blood Crypt or a Hollowed Fountain, and they'd go, oh, they must be playing this deck. Is that a good thing? Is that a good thing that you're sitting there across from your opponent, and as soon as they play their first land, you basically know exactly what deck they're playing and what their entire deck list is? Is that a good thing? I don't think it is, right? And now I'm not saying that that's going to happen in Commander. That would never happen in Commander, and Golos, obviously, there's probably a lot of Golos decks. So all the people asking about why ban Golos, well, why ban any cards, right? If you look at the ban list, why ban any cards? Would you be okay with Black Lotus being playable in Commander? The same mentality of, I have a busted card that everybody wants to play. Is that a good thing, right? Is it a good thing to have a busted card that everyone wants to play? And then on top of that, why don't we make that card your Commander? I mean, I am sorry for the people out there that had Golos decks that they really, really liked, but there was also people that had Braids decks that had to take them apart when that got banned. There was people who had Uraio decks that had to take those apart when that got banned. There was people who had Kokoshu decks that had to take that apart when that got banned. This is what happens. This happens in every format, right? Every single format this happens. All those people that had those affinity decks back in the day, when those cards got banned, you know, what are you going to do? You know, all those people that had Uro decks, when that got banned, what are they going to do, right? In every format, this is a thing. This is not unique to Commander. All the time, decks get too powerful, and then an important piece to that deck or several pieces of that deck will get nuked, and then you got to go somewhere else. You got to try to make that deck work, and if you can't, then you got to start from scratch and go to a different deck. This happens all the time. And Modern decks are often way more expensive than Commander decks. You still have those cards, okay? You can take them out and put them other decks. It's not like anyone's taking a blowtorch to your deck, right? You still have those cards. You can just swap out the Commander. Banning cards is a part of the game, okay? And as I said in the last video, I am more leaning towards unbanning cards. I think there's quite a few cards on the ban list that I would definitely be okay with unbanning. I actually should probably revisit my Ban in Commander video because my opinions have changed quite a bit since I did that video in the early stages of my channel. For me though, Golos is one of those cards that I am completely okay with banning because I think for the overall health of the format going forward, I think it is what's best. And yes, I feel for the few people out there that really, really needed Golos as the commander for their deck. You're taking one for the team. That's all I gotta say. You know, for the thousands of other people that were using Golos for the commander for the deck just because it's a really powerful commander, and even though they had other options they could use, they picked that one because it was the best one. That's what I think this banning is more aimed at, right? It's more aimed at the people who are just using Golos because it's really powerful, and why not? So if you're wondering why they banned Golos, just ask yourself, why did they ban cards at all? And I'm sure there's probably people out there that maybe don't think they should ban cards at all. I mean, I don't know. Do you think the format would be better if Fastbond was unbanned? I don't think it would. Should Gristlebrand be available to people in the command zone? Just think about, why do they ban cards at all? There's a reason why it's done, whether it be the rules committee for Commander or for Wizards of the Coast. It's a contentious issue. Pretty much every single video that I've done so far about banning or unbanning has got tons of comments. You know, all my videos that I've talked about this subject have the highest ratio of downvotes. You know, if I talked about Golos being banned as a bad thing, I would get a ton of downvotes, and if I talk about it being a good thing, I get a ton of downvotes. I mean, whatever. For me, at the end of the day, I always say I want to maintain a casual, fun format for everyone. And as it stands right now with the banned list for Commander, I think they're pretty much on the nose for that. So, you know, for me, there's definitely some cards. I did 10 cards that I want to see unbanned in Commander. I'm not going to lose my mind, though. If they don't get unbanned, they probably, a lot of them never will. I mean, that's okay. I only have like 20,000 other cards to choose from, so I'm not going to get bent out of shape about it. Just think of this as an opportunity, okay? If you had a Golos deck, or maybe a Chrysotunity, now you have a chance to build a brand new deck, or come up with a new idea, or come up with another way to make your original strategy work, right? You have a Maze's End deck. I promise you there are other commanders that will work with that strategy. Might not be as easy for you, but nevertheless, Maze's End decks did exist before Golos did. And really, you know, if you want to get mad at the rules committee, you can. I had a guy who said that the rules committee itself should get banned in one of the comments, but just remember, these are the guys that actually created this format, okay? And they're the ones who've been playing it since forever, and they have in their heads the idea, the overall picture of what the format should look like. And I think the bannings and unbannings are in line with what the vision is in their head of what this format should look like. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm mostly okay with whatever they're doing. There are some cards that I would probably unban, but ultimately I am okay with where things stand right now with the banned and the unbanned. What do you guys think? Leave a comment below. I'm sure a lot of you will, but that is it for today, and thanks for tuning in.